Oh Jesus Christ, help! What the hell do I do? How's it going everybody, and welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be having a look at the very first boss of the Elder God Wars. I think this is the first boss since Rs3 that I have been able to do sort of on day of release, and I was super excited for this boss to come out. I had a feeling that it would be Kerapac that would be the first boss, seeing as in the City of Senstin quest, or whatever it's called, I don't know how you pronounce that. Just the fact that Dragonkin were going to be involved just made me assume that he was going to be the actual boss guy out of this. But before they were announced as Slayer creatures, I actually thought that the Dragonkin were going to be, I guess, sort of the kill count for Kerapac. That was just my theory before they announced it, and I guess in hindsight I'm actually kind of glad that you don't have to get a kill count for this. But real quick, before we get any further into sort of how my first couple of days went with this, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of my subscribers. We're almost at that 700 mark. That's absolutely crazy to me, and I don't think you guys actually realise like how much it means. I really do appreciate it. And as usual, if this is the kind of content that you do enjoy, then please do like the video. Do comment down below with any of your thoughts on the new boss or on this video or whatever you want to talk about. And if you are new, then please do press that subscribe button. With that being said, let's get back into the video. Alright, so my first couple of attempts at this boss was not great, I guess. I literally could not get the timing right for the slam that he does, and that stun of his is so crazy. Like, I don't know how you're supposed to deal with that. I mean, looking back at the footage, I should have probably used freedom and just sort of run away, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, the damage that he does when you get slammed is pretty rough, honestly. Now, I actually saw someone in the clan mention that if you use the Shadow Pontifex ring, or whatever it's called, then he doesn't actually stun you with that slam. So from then on, I pretty much just camped that ring, and that made dealing with that mechanic so much easier. Like, you really don't have to worry about it, even if you kind of mess up the timing with a surge. Because you don't get stunned, you can just run away, so yeah, it really kind of negates that whole mechanic. So because that was the mechanic that I kept dying to in the first 2 tries, the third attempt using that ring, I actually managed to get a kill. Now, this was actually a really slow kill. And that pretty much just came down to me being a little bit of an idiot, really. I took ruby bolts and didn't use them. I had a Ripper Demon and I didn't put any scrolls in them. And honestly, I think for the first couple of hours I even forgot to use an aura at all. Like, I don't know why I completely forgot to activate an aura. So yeah, at the beginning, even though I was getting kills, they were definitely not efficient. Now, I guess the upside of having bad DPS and the fights lasting a little bit longer was that I was able to actually check out all of the mechanics and try and work them out sort of as the fight kind of went on. So the first mechanic that you kind of see is when he says something like, "I'll tear right through you." So what he does is he'll fire this thing towards you, I don't know what it is, which will stun you, and then that will then start using magic hits quite rapidly back towards him and between you. This was actually super easy to deal with. All you have to do is freedom and just sort of run out of line of sight, I guess, of it. Now, it doesn't do a ton of damage, but the problem I had was that the hitbox of it seemed really big. Like, the bolts that seem to be firing back towards him, it seems like it's a 2-tile or maybe 3-tile radius. But yeah, like I said, it's really easy to deal with. You just freedom and just run away, basically. The next mechanic that you seem to get is the ground slam one. And initially I really struggled to get the timing for this, but I guess that just comes with practice. It's pretty easy to sort of figure out. It's sort of once he lowers his staff ready to kind of slam it back down on the ground. So yeah, with a bit of practice you can get the timing down for this pretty easily. It didn't take me very long. I do still mess it up now and then, but I don't know whether that's me or if it's just a bit of a lag in the game. Now, the next mechanic that comes after that is the lightning wall that he'll summon. I guess just think of this mechanic as the firewall from QBD. Now, this is actually only something that I had to deal with sort of early on, or if something goes pretty wrong during the fight. Because if you can get him down to 50k health before he summons those walls, then he just won't do it. But if you do end up getting them, then you just gotta surge or bladed dive past them. They can get a little bit hectic later on in the fight if you don't manage to phase him later on. But once you get him down to 50k health from this point, he will use that needle and sort of rewind time, and basically you'll have to do the fight all over again. However, this time round, when he does these mechanics, he will have a clone of himself from the first time he did it. So this time round you'll have to deal with the first lightning bolt of that first mechanic and also the one that he spawns in this time round. With his ground slams you'll have to remember where he slammed down in the first time round you did this, and again with the lightning wall you'll have to remember where that first one initially spawned. This is what I was saying earlier when I said that things can start getting a little bit hectic later on in the fight. However, really the only one that I sort of personally struggle with is the ground slam. That lightning bolt and the lightning wall one really don't bother me that much. Like I said earlier, the lightning bolt one doesn't actually do that much damage and you can pretty much completely negate it with devotion anyway. And I'm now comfortable enough in the fight that the lightning wall isn't really an issue. I always pretty much pre-phase it anyway. But yeah, there's something about that ground slam mechanic that I just cannot seem to get in my head, that where I'm going to surge to is where he slammed down before. Now I'm not saying it happens every time, but it just does occasionally happen, maybe like 10% or 20% of the time. I'll just kind of think, yep, here's a good place to stand, and when I surge it'll be fine. And I end up just surging into one of his clones, but I don't know, it is what it is. This is all normal mode, so it's actually not that punishing really. So you'll have to end up doing this 3 times. You'll have to basically kill him 3 times and get him to 50k HP. Once he's at 50k HP, he will enrage and end up going back up to, I think it's about 75k. And he'll pretty much just start attacking with magic really quite rapidly. I've not checked out the stacks that he ends up getting as a buff, but I know that it basically means that your protection prayers are not as good. So this is pretty much just a DPS race to get him down as quickly as possible while also keeping alive. So this is the phase where I change to my diamond bolts just so that I don't accidentally proc and end up taking more damage than I need to in this phase, as the damage kind of comes quite rapidly. So usually how I deal with this phase is I'll either anticipate first, just because the initial hits aren't that strong I guess. I'll then use debilitate because the hits actually start getting pretty strong at this point. And once that runs out, I'll use a devotion. As he's only attacking with mage, it completely negates all of his damage. And pretty much by that point, I'm hoping he's dead, or he usually is dead. And honestly, that's pretty much how I got my first kills in the first couple of days. I mean, I went in this completely blind and didn't look up anything at all, really. I guess really the only advice I got from anyone was when I saw in the clan chat about the ring. And honestly, that ring is an absolute godsend in this fight. I have no idea how you're supposed to deal with that slam mechanic otherwise. I mean, I guess it was just me mistiming it early on, but, you know, it is what it is. So, my overall thoughts on this boss, I actually really enjoy it. I think Jagex have done a very good job at how the scaling works for this as well. They've made normal mode very accessible to pretty much anyone, really. I mean, you could do this in probably tier 70, tier 80 gear. You know, realistically, you're going to have a little bit of a harder time, but I think it's pretty doable. And I mean, that's coming from me, right? Like, I am not very good at this game. So yeah, I really like how they've made it sort of available to anyone and everyone. And then they've made it obviously so that the tier 95 weapon can be dropped in the hard mode. And honestly, I really like the way they've done that. You know, that's now one of the best weapons in the game. And I think if it was that easily accessible, sort of by doing just normal mode as well, then it would completely devalue the weapon as a whole. And honestly, not just that weapon, it would pretty much crash everything, right? Because the new best weapon would be super accessible to everybody. So yeah, I really like how they've done this. Now, talking about hard mode, I am probably not even going to attempt it even though it's free death week. And that pretty much just comes down to the fact that, not that I'm struggling with normal mode, but you know, I use quite a lot of supplies. And a lot of people I know that do a lot more PVM and are a lot better at this game than me have either struggled with it or have still yet to get a kill. That to me is proof enough that I just don't have the skill to, you know, even attempt hard mode. There's just no point. I'd just end up burning through a load of supplies, and at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. Now, difficulty-wise, sort of for the normal mode, I would assume, I guess I'd probably put it sort of solo next sort of difficulty. And even then, I feel like maybe solo next is actually a little bit more difficult. But I don't know about that. Let me know what you guys think on that one. I think so far I've done about 60 kills. I actually don't get that much time to play. So yeah, I've only sort of done maybe 4 hours of it. But the drops are actually super good as well. Pretty much everything I've had is all alchables, I suppose. So it's all pretty much just raw cash. And besides that, I get an absolute ton of cannonballs. That normally wouldn't really be a thing that I would care about too much, but they'll absolutely help with gathering my clue scrolls for my clue scroll series. So I'm actually super happy with the common loot table, I suppose. I've yet to get a broadcast, but maybe that'll come soon, maybe for the next episode or something, I have no idea. But we'll just have to wait and see and hope that the prices are still fairly high when I do get something. But yeah, overall, absolutely love this boss. It's a really cool update and yeah, I don't know, I'm really excited to see what they bring out next. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say on this boss for today. So, like I said before, if this is the kind of content that you do enjoy, then please do like the video. Do comment down below anything that you have to say. And if you are new, then please do subscribe. And as usual, like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, and I'll catch you in the next one.